Okay, hola all. Welcome back to Soul Mechanics. Finally, at this point, it is going to have been several hours. It's actually been an entire day, another entire day, and almost all of the night has gone ahead and passed now. That I have remained awake and active and have not provided myself any form of sustenance whatsoever. I do not usually smoke whilst I'm conducting the experiment, but then I do, once I kind of drift away from it, or I detach myself from that, the operation of that, for the most part, the direct engagement of that, I'm meaning to say. See, I'm losing my gift to gab for the most part, to a certain extent. I'm still pretty awesome, but I am actually hallucinating now, which I'd like to go ahead and speak to an issue regarding hallucination, because it is terribly pertinent in the discussion we are having here right now. What we are talking about, it's a very exceptionally defining value in that regard, and can in fact explain the entirety of this to a much, at least to a heavily measurable degree greater than I should be able to, for the most part. Like what I'm talking about, what I intend to get across, I don't have a firm grasp on. It's not something that I've yet to master it to any discernible degree. It's new to me for the most part. I mean, like a year or so. It's not new. I mean, that year has, for me, I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to have a tendency to want to kind of drift off here and just start talking about whatever comes to mind and bust into tangents. I will, in fact, do that for hours and hours if I am left to my own devices. I need to be pretty fucking precise here, but fortunately, I really don't recall what I was saying. Oh, yeah. Hallucinations. Like, what most people are using the term hallucination in reference to is not actually hallucination. If your eyes see something, if your ears hear something, if your senses pick up on something and display it for you in reality, it's there. That's really, I'm failing to understand where people could even go about trying to convince themselves that that's a feasible reasoning to have. No, something is there for sure, and yes, it can be there for just one person. That's a potentiality. None of it is not real. That's really just a fucking stupid discernment, and I really wanted to go ahead and speak to the just general stupidity I'm seeing all over the place. We'll have to make another video on that. We'll have to make a whole fucking series of videos on that, but I think it's detrimental that we are in fact experiencing what seems to be an inordinate kind of epidemic outbreak of just irrational idiocy all over the place. People are doing shit like, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get regularly, and when I say regularly, I mean that being that I not only am capable of kind of warping time, stretching it out, and, experiencing more time in compact measurements, I am, at the same time, I'm gotten to the point where I have, in fact, stretched it out, and I don't know how to put it back, so I am always experiencing time much faster, and just much more is happening to me within my time frame. So that week, I mean, shit. That these past few days, for example, that I've been up and doing this to me, in my mind, from my perspective, this has gone on for, I don't know, a few weeks or so, a month maybe, to me. That's what I have experienced it as, and that's what it feels like. But speaking to hallucinations, again, sorry. See, I'm starting to try. I'm no longer in the best of shape. I apologize, but I needed to get this done. It's important. Hallucinations are like if you happen to be of the firm belief or understanding that something exists as a certain, in a certain way, that a certain entity is existing in some fashion or another that is not actually, that is not real to any discernible extent, in the sense that maybe it doesn't exist at all and you're just thinking it does, but I mean, for the most part, it's going to be referring to your ideas about something that are not true and are in fact based on values that are either fraudulent or broken and deliberately misleading even. That's going to be what the term hallucination is actually meaning to speak at. So, let's go ahead and just begin here, because I think I've gone ahead. I've wasted a lot of time just mentioning senseless things that I feel are important in some way, but I'm lacking the capacity to actually adequately explain what I'm trying to say about them. So I'm just going to give up and continue with this. We had left off with speaking to the Buddha and enlightenment traps, wherein, when I say that enlightenment is a trap in my mind, that enlightenment traps do in fact exist as we know it, as we know for them to be, the concept in and of itself is a trap. When I say this, many people are likely to go ahead, if anybody watches this, if they're, Buddhist at heart, or they have a respect for them, which I have a great deal of respect for Buddhism. As I stated, it's going to be, I feel as though it's more akin to what I'm working with than most things. Hinduism might be closer, but people are going to retort, as I was saying, by stating the reference or inference rather to the Buddha having worked with enlightenment. Sort of, I guess it's thought of that he had discovered the state of enlightenment or nirvana or Samadhi, whatever you want to call it. This free zone state, this totally I want to almost go ahead and just say absent-minded state, wherein you are like almost entirely careless and then don't perceive the actual rationality or reasoning behind any of the things that you might happen to be doing. In fact, most people will go ahead and do nothing at all, and with good reason, because this state of being, this zone, as it were, it's fucking terribly boring. Like, I mean, enlightenment sounds like a goal of some sort, sure, but it is, and for the most part, just kind of really terribly boring, like sickeningly empty is what it is. It's just like you wind up after so long, after maybe like a year or so or longer remaining in this state, you begin to take notice of the fact that you are no longer really effective in any measurable manner, to any measurable extent, that is. You're saying. So, where I speak to enlightenment as being a trap, many people are going to retort with the idea that, hey, the Buddha taught enlightenment or found enlightenment, depending on who you talk to. The Buddha, endorsed and promoted enlightenment. It is a big thing, and Buddhism is totally telling you, that enlightenment is the goal. Well, okay, first thing, no, it's not. That is not the case. It has never been the case. It's actually entirely that is contradicting the actual case itself, what is really happening. And we are going to have to go ahead and work towards discerning what is really happening. That's the important part of this whole expedition we're on. Almost everybody, and this speaks to the nature of my complaint about the stupidity factor. Just most everybody you come across is going to be, at least to at least to a detrimental extent, if not just entirely fucking sleepwalking, just dreaming everything, living in a fucking sham, fucking dreamscape fantasy world that is not in any way realistic, let alone real. It's so far removed from what is actually happening that so many people are actually convinced of things that are just holy shit out there. Like, you look at the religious fanatics and the thoughts they have, the considerations they make, the way that they allow for that belief system to cause for them to engage other people. These people are they're dead in the water. They don't have brain one in their fucking head. They have a bubble wrapped around their head that they're looking through that actually has like what amounts to a TV screen on it. They can't see through that. They think the world is what's on the screen. That's going to be a good analogy for what hallucination actually is, and that belief system, obviously, that's going to represent it to some extent. Because, as I've stated before, I'm not going to stop kicking religion's ass. Religion is not only useless for us anymore, but it is, in fact, of detriment. It's a force, a threatening force in play. So, I mean, we are at risk, as it is already, to what most people will have to consider upon finding just what seems to be a terribly unimaginable degree. Most people would be entirely incapable of even, even going ahead and giving any any degree of actual thought or consideration toward examining our state of affairs insofar as concerns the level of risk we are in fact immediately at as a people. We're slacking. We've done a pretty good job. We've shaped up pretty well. We've made some pretty seriously awesome differences for sure. We've done some real serious ass kicking, but at the moment, as it stands, we are in serious fucking trouble, people. We need to pick up the fucking pace, and I'm gonna go ahead and state it because I am in fact in that. Anybody who knows me is gonna know where I'm coming from on this. I'm gonna be a fucking asshole here. I'm sorry for it, but I mean it's who I happen to be at the moment. Most of the people that I'm going to have sincerely counted on to make a serious difference, and why am I training people? Why am I teaching people how to do this job? Why am I training people to be communicable and to make use of their innate potential, to grasp the depth of their own personal responsibility and let their fucking owner out? Why am I training people to be directors if I am still, just to this day, right to this very moment, I am the only fucking person managing everything? Where the fuck are you guys? Will you get the fuck up and do something? Shit, I'm sorry to be so bitchy with you, but for Christ's sake, it's been a long fucking... you have no idea how long this has been going on for me, that I have in fact invested in almost every one of you, and not a single one of you is actually deciding to go ahead and, put any investment into the objective and responsibility that you have openly, actively, operatively fucking decided to accept as your own and have promised to follow through with. Nobody. Okay, that's bullshit. There are a few of you who have actually made a lot of progress, and all of you are in fact making progress on your own to some extent or another. I mean, I feel honored that you're even making use of the directions I give you, even if you're off on your own doing it. I'm very happy with that, but we do really need people to step up to the plate and start taking the lead. That's how you're going to encourage other people to get up in themselves. I keep telling you this over and over again, and again, it's one of those cycles that just repeat, and we can't get out of it because you're not paying attention, or you don't want to hear it, or you just don't want to be, you don't want to be responsible, even though you have in fact voiced your acceptance of that responsibility as being your own. So, I mean, at that point, you're kind of lying to me. And it's like, the fact that you were able to get away with lying to me, that I was not able to, catch it immediately and call you on it, that kind of pisses me off. Like, that's somewhat offensive to me. I'm not going to get pissy about it, but, I mean, today has been just the worst fucking day I think I've had in just forever and ever, so... I do apologize for being shitty, but, I mean, for fuck's sake, please do not lie to my face. I love you guys. I work hard to help you guys out. I work hard to teach you guys what I can. I work hard to keep you guys intact and to provide you with opportunities to so that you can get up and do these things if you so desire to. The opportunity afforded is readily available because I am working my ass off to make it available. So, I mean, for fuck's sake, at the very least, you could not bullshit me and then leave me hanging. That's going to be a serious issue we need to deal with. And that speaks directly to the issue of stupidity. This all goes hand in hand. And so I suppose I'm going to have to... All I can do is really apologize that I am, in fact, somehow insinuating that you might be a part of the problem here. But you are a part of the fucking problem here. You are exemplary of the problem. The problem is that there are people out there who are willing to make a difference, who want to make a difference, who have the power to make a difference, and are doing fucking nothing. So, that's enough. I'm not going to be mean anymore, but shit, man. Wake up. Come on. This is not a fucking joke here. We really need to move faster. We need to get shit done now. Anybody that has moved into this, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but anybody that's actually made it, and as I've stated, I've pulled a few people, a good handful of people, and there, of course, there are a couple directors I've met in the networking of the other groups that were already on the level. They understood it. They have experienced it. I don't think they're really into it to such a great degree as I've gotten, but, They have in fact gone ahead and surpassed this enlightenment trap period and moved on to the higher levels of play wherein they're afforded just miraculous opportunities. You can do things that you'll never fucking believe once you just get through that barrier. That barrier, that particular trap is going to be holding you, and just holding your entire potential in a totality back. It is keeping you from even recognizing what you truly are and what you can actually do. Like it's right in front of you and you cannot see it. It's invisible to you because you have that barrier in play. It's going to be that hallucination. Insofar as this is concerned, this particular instance, the hallucination that's actually transpiring is going to be the reality in front of you disappearing. Not, you're not actually seeing what's really happening. You cannot actually see it at this point. And I mean, shit, it's got to be obvious to somebody at least that it is in fact this hallucination that is causing that to happen. So anyways, yeah, people are going to go ahead and respond, as I've stated, by saying that the Buddha was all about it. No, the Buddha was not all about pushing enlightenment. The Buddha was doing essentially precisely the same thing that I have been doing, what I am doing as we speak right now. He was effectively placing himself in a meditative state and pushing himself in that meditative state to an extremity deprivation circumstance wherein he is fasting, he's not eating, he's not sleeping, he's actively meditating, so he's working himself in some sense, and he is doing this for long enough to slip into, what I would like to call the ether, this other world that pretty much amounts to a kind of free reign access to very profound instruments insofar as concerns the values in play, the operation of values in play, how this whole system is constructed for the most part. And it's very difficult to explain how you read this. Like, it really brings to mind the idea that elder spotters before the calamities had of the what they call the shifting glyphs. I think I did mention this in the other video where I spoke to the chakra system. Yeah, the shifting glyphs, the God reading, and this is God reading the story of life as it happens. This area of inference, I suppose you could say, this place, for all intents and purposes, other world is it's indicative of that. I mean, I'm sorry, it goes hand in hand. I'm not even following myself at this point. I can't even maintain this. I'm sorry. This was really intended to be such a